And now this is a special video of me showing off my entire N64 collection to you guys. Because you guys, I think you guys deserve it. And I'm sure you all wondering what I have in my collection. So, I'm going to talk about each game and give a little bit, a quick little tidbit about each game. But because I have 100, I have to go quickly here. So, Brunswick Pro Circuit Bowling. Okay, so this game, this is actually a bowling simulator, probably the best one on the system if you're into bowling. Glover, very weird game. I heard that there's quite a few people that like this game, but for some reason I could not get into this game. Maybe I'll give it another fair go someday. Beetle Adventure Racing. Again, a very popular game. Many people like the fact that this game actually encourages you to be creative and take crazy shortcuts throughout the tracks. I'm more of a Mario Kart person myself, per se, but still, it was pretty good for what it was. California Speed, a generic racer. Lego Racers, again, another generic racer, but with Lego. Everyone loves Lego. Star Fox 64. One of the most popular titles around the time of 1997, I believe this came out. It was the first game to include the Rumble Pack. Very innovative, so hats off to that. Diddy Kong Racing. This took what was great about Mario Kart and expanded it to include new elements such as power-ups, and making them better and stuff like that. And then there was actually a story to this, and it included 2 extra vehicles, the hovercraft and the plane, whereas Mario Kart only stuck to its traditional cars. And I guess then had the expansion motorbikes, but still, it was pretty good for what it was. GoldenEye 007, everyone's favorite N64 shooter. Personally, I'm not a fan of shooters, so I didn't really enjoy this one that much. So yeah, forgive me for not liking this, but I'm just not a shooter type. Virtual Pool. It's a pool simulator, probably the only one on the system. Whaley Country Club True Golf Classics. Yes, I almost forgot the name of that game for a second. This game is just a golf game, but nothing beats Mario Golf. Shadow Man. I have yet to really play this one, but from what I've heard, this game is a very interesting dungeon crawler. Kind of like Zelda. I heard it was very Zelda-ish. Arrow Gauge. This game is almost impossible to win against the computers. It is that hard. Chameleon Twist. I recently just did actually a Let's Play of this game. And I thought this was actually one of my favorite quick and easy games. If that makes sense. Bomberman Hero. There are 3 Bomberman games. I own 2 of them. This is one of them. This game, it was an okay game. I actually really liked it for the most part because it's one of those quick and easy kind of games. Goemon's Great Adventure. Again, I have yet to beat this game, but it's an interesting mystical ninja kind of clone or sequel title that you play as a 2-dimensional kind of game, kind of like Yoshi's Story. Micro Machines 64 Turbo. I've only played this game once. I didn't really like it that much. Dr. Mario 64. This game, I gotta say, is insanely difficult to beat on the hard mode to unlock all the other characters. It's one of the few games where you can actually play as Metal Mario. I didn't even know that, but yeah. This was one of the last released games on the N64, coming as late as 2001. First color card. 007, The World Is Not Enough. Yeah, it plays kind of like GoldenEye, but I heard that there is so much more between the two that people have often kind of like pushed that one aside as the mediocre sequel that got the second fiddle to its predecessor. Midway's Greatest Arcade Hits Volume 1. Yeah. Okay, so this game is just an arcade game. Nothing more to say. S-Cars, or Scars, if you want to call it. whatever. This is a very interesting animal racer. This is cars in the shape of like zoo animals. Kind of neat. Never really got into it, but you know what? That's alright. For what it is, I enjoyed it. Tetrisphere, an interesting spin on the Tetris kind of puzzle-esque kind of games you got going on there. Here's a very common one, Wave Race 64. A lot of people really like this launch title. Actually, it wasn't quite a launch title, but it came out in the early N64 life. Like I think it was one of the games right after Super Mario 64 that came out. Very popular. Racing on jet skis. Didn't quite strike me the same as Mario Kart 64, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Quest 64. I feel this game got a really bad rap because I have completed this game, beaten it, and it's not nearly as bad as what I think most people say. But that's just me. Maybe I'm just strange. I mean, I don't like GoldenEye, so obviously, and I like Quest. That's like, what the hell? There's something wrong with me. I'm sure you guys are gonna leave a comment about that. F-Zero X, a really good racer, and I actually own this game plus the Japanese copy in box, F-Zero X, and it's got all the packing and stuff. I'm not gonna take it out just to save time, but yes, I have 2 copies of the game. However, I'm not counting the fact that I have 2 of the same game as an additional number on my counting list of the N64 cards. Toy Story 2. I just got this, as you saw in the last video, as well as Lego Racers, which I've shown already. Gex 3 Deep Cover Gecko. Interesting little platformer. This game is ridiculously hard because of the camera issues. That was the 3rd game of the Gex series. Cruisin' World. Yeah, Cruisin' World. The 2nd or 3rd game in the Cruisin' series, I want to say. It's not first, because Cruisin' USA was the first. Wipeout 64. Another generic racer. Actually, this is a futuristic racer. This isn't actually too bad. I enjoyed this for what it is. Extreme G. Another futuristic racer. On motorbikes. Oddly enough, I actually preferred its sequel better. Maybe because I got that one first. I got used to it. Cruisin' USA, the other Cruisin' series game that I own. The first one. This one is incredibly monotonous. I'm not a fan of this one at all. Jeremy McGrath, Supercross 2000. What can I say about this game other than the fact that it has such a damaged back? Not bad. It plays almost identical to Excitebike in my opinion. I didn't notice a single difference. But I only played it like twice, so. The new Tetris. It's Tetris. 4-player Tetris at that. If I gotta say, if there's a best definitive Tetris out there, it would be this one. Because it's 4 players. I don't know any other Tetris game that you can play 4 players on a home console. I mean, I'm sure there is, but not on N64 to my knowledge. There is actually, I will say this, there is a game called Tetris 64 that was only released in Japan. It is actually the only game that uses a pulse monitor that attaches to your ear or something. You can clip onto your 64 controller and it actually determines the difficulty of the game, which I thought was really innovative. But yeah, moving on. Pilot Wings 64. This is a launch title for the N64, which is one that I had, not Super Mario 64. I actually did not get that game until 2012. I know, shocking. I had over 80 games by the time I had gotten Super Mario, so I didn't even have that from the start. So, but anyways, Pilot Wings 64. This game is just a flight simulator. I don't think there's any others like this on the system. I didn't really like it too much, but whatever. Daikatana. This game, John Romero made this game, and a lot of people hated this game. I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, yes, it's got some weird controls, but seriously, once you get used to it, it's not that bad. I mean, I'm sure there's more issues than that, so I'm not even attacking the main stuff, but again, it's whatever. Star Soldier Vanishing Earth. I'm not a fan of shooters too much, or even space shooters. But this one was an interesting exception. I've yet to actually beat this game. This game is actually only, I think it's like 5 levels long. But I've yet to actually beat it. Here's a game that was made by Rare, but is not very known to many people. And not many people care for it. It's Mickey Speedway USA. Yeah, USA. It kind of plays like Mario Kart, but I feel it's not as memorable, in my opinion. Alright, another Rare game, Blast Corps. I've yet to really get into this game. I have played it a couple times, but not that much. Following on the Rare trend, we have Banjo-Kazooie. This one is a collect-a-thon kind of adventure game where you have to defeat the evil Gruntilla to save your sister from being transformed into some ugly beast. This game was ridiculously hard to collect everything, and that's all the game was probably known for. Mind you, it was I love Banjo-Kazooie. Now following that, we have its sequel, Banjo-Tooie. This game is significantly harder to find than the Banjo-Kazooie because it was one of Rare's last games for the system. So I've still yet to beat it though. I'm only about a third done the game. Jet Force Gemini, yet another Rare title. Yeah, I'm cranking out all these Rare titles. I love this third-person shooter. This is kind of a weird exception. I know I just said I hate shooters, but this one was kind of like, wow, interesting. Now here's some Pokemon games. Pokemon Puzzle League, an interesting puzzle game. I enjoyed it for what it was. Pokemon Stadium. I actually own this one and a Japanese under the same name, but it's a different game, which I'll get to shortly here. Pokemon Stadium is one of my favorite 3D kind of fighters for the system. And I got its sequel, Pokemon Stadium 2. This one was that much better than the original because it had 3 extra mini games and it had the second generation Pokemon. I mean, you can't go wrong. Same formula though, so there's not really any adventure. Alright, so the game I was just talking about was this one, Pocket Monster Stadium. Now this is like a Japanese only release for the Pokemon series for N64. It's not the same. It is not the same as Pokemon Stadium. This is a completely different game in which all you do is only battle. There's no mini games whatsoever. And I believe there's a very limited amount of Pokemon you can use. Pokemon Snap. Now, this one was a very cool little rail shooter on the N64. Where you actually take pictures of Pokemon. The only thing I didn't really like about that game is that you cannot really move around freely, and not all the Pokemon are in the game. Only about 60 or so are present. Hey You Pikachu. And I have also Pikachu Genki to Chew, the Japanese release of Hey You Pikachu. So there's 2 games. Again, I'm not counting this one as an extra because it's the same game, just in Japanese. Next up is Kirby 64. Very, very easy. I beat this. You can beat this game in about 2 hours if you're dedicated. Unless you don't want to complete it, then you can beat it even quicker. Xena Warrior Princess. An interesting little fighter game. It was based off the Xena series back in the 90s. I never actually watched it, so yeah. Space Station Silicon Valley. A very interesting sort of puzzle game. Not traditionally that it's like Tetris, but there's like puzzle elements where there's problem solving and stuff like that. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. I've yet to complete it, but I'm very trying to do so. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. This was a very popular game. It was one of the first of many Tony Hawk's Pro Skaters to come, or Tony Hawk games. Yes. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. I own that one as well. Very much the same. And I own Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. Now, interesting note that this was the last officially released game on the Nintendo 64, coming as late as 2002. Weetrix. This is again a kind of a puzzle game. Okay, what's the time? Okay, so this is again another kind of puzzle game, in which you have to manipulate land and water. Very cool in my opinion. Very interesting. Like I mentioned before, I own F-Zero X, but I also own the F-Zero X expansion kit. Yes. Yeah, no. This basically gives you a track editor and a car creator, and it gives you a couple extra cups and a DD track. Pretty cool. Not much of a game, but it's like it says, it's an expansion kit, and it's like making your own Hot Wheel track. I mean, it's all you can ask for. Body Harvest. This is a sandbox kind of style game, kind of like Grand Theft Auto, except not quite the same kind of concept. But it was made by the same company, I believe. I don't know. It was published by Midway. Another arcade game, Namco Museum 64. This is Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Dig Dug and Galaga. Where's it, Galaxy? Oh no, I think it's Galaga, but it's really good if you like arcade games, but I mean, it's only if you like arcade games. Starshot Space Circus Fever. Fever? Yes. Starshot Space Circus Fever is an interesting game. Very kind of different. I've been trying to beat this game, but this game is incredibly hard. Maybe I'm just not progressing far enough, but it's quite difficult. Penny Racers. Another racer game. This one is... oh man, I can't say too much about this one. Next up is Mario Artist Polygon Studio. Yes. This is probably one of the best N64D games out there, in my opinion. And a lot of people will say that or either F-Zero X, the expansion kit. So, yeah. My big three on that system, even though there's only like 10 discs. Rednet DD. This isn't a really game. It's an internet browser. And a defunct one at that. Not much to say there. Next up is Shadowgate 64. This is actually a really unusual game because this is actually, I believe it's a sequel to the NES classic Shadowgate. And it is a puzzle game, kind of like what I had just mentioned before with Space Station Silicon Valley. It's not really a puzzle like Pokemon or whatever, or a puzzle like Tetris, but there's like problem-solving elements. That's what I'm trying to say. I almost forgot the words there. Yoshi's Story. A very, very easy game to beat. I can beat it within about half hour, if I'm quick enough. Hot Wheels Turbo Racing, yeah. Another generic racer. Miss Pac-Man's Maze Madness. This was kind of a spin-off arcade game, so remix. Kind of reminds me of actually Pac-Man World on the Sony PlayStation, which I also own. Alright, Excite Bike. A racer. Feels way different than the original one on the NES. But like I said before, that and Jeremy Grath Supercross 2000s feel exactly the same for the most part. It's Aiden Chronicles, the first mage. I've played this game, but holy cow, there's some problems with the pacing of this game. But I actually do not dislike it, as odd as that seems. And it was, interestingly enough, it was made by THQ, the same company that made Quest for RPGs. Yeah, it's one of 5 RPGs, depending on how, if you count what you count as an RPG on the 64. But that's how few there was on the unit. In North America, anyways. Gex 64, I have almost beat this game. I am just about finished. And this game, it would be a classic if the controls would be slightly fixed. Because that is what makes this game slightly difficult, is the controls. And the camera doesn't help either. That's also, yeah. But, you know what? I can look past the flaws. Mario Artist Talent Studio. This one is one of the, I'd say between the 4 Mario Artist games, this one is the second best next to Polygon Studio. And I've got the capture card. I've never actually been able to capture my footage of from my camera, like you can right here, to import it, so you can mess around with it. But this is a very cool concept, and I really actually like this game, despite how limited you can do what it is to do on it. I do kind of appreciate it for that factor. Virtual Chess 64. It's chess. Believe it or not, I have yet to beat the computer in this game. The computer is just too good. It almost cheats, fucking bastards. Mischief Makers. Yeah. Mischief Makers. Kind of like Yoshi's Story. It's a 2.5D kind of side-scroller. I like that. Command and Conquer. Now, I actually own the box for this game, and I actually have it. I had it sealed as well. It was a boxed sealed game, but I broke the seal just to get the game out. I probably should not have done that, but I still technically have the seal on. But this game is a strategy game, and I'm not too fan of this. I've only played this about 3 times. This game has only been played that many times. Mario Party. Now, I've already done 2 battle royales on this kind of game. One of them which has not aired yet, but it is coming. There's a 4-player battle royale. I really like this game. The original, in my opinion, had the best boards. 2 had the best minigames, and 3 had the most characters on the N64 trilogy. It's an interesting one of the bunch. It will always have a memorable spot in my heart, even though it's not technically the best. What I think is the best Mario Party is Mario Party 2. Yeah, this one had the best minigames, again, in my opinion. They were much more balanced than the first game. A lot of those minigames were shit. And this one took care of that, so yay. And then to follow up on the trilogy is Mario Party 3, and my second favorite of all the Mario Party games that I remember playing. Even the ones on the GameCube, this one is still in my heart, because it's on N64. Nothing beats N64, but I really love the fact that they added Waluigi and Daisy. Mystical Ninja, starring Goemon. I beat this game. I actually really loved it. It's got a very interesting camera mechanic, so I cannot 100% praise it, but you know what? I mean, every game has its flaws, and that was just the one flaw in it, what I thought of it. That, and I felt it was pretty short for what it was, but great game all the same. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Now, believe it or not, I have not actually beaten this game, as I am stuck, not at the Water Temple, but it's after, I think I'm at the Shadow Temple or something like that. I still have not beaten this game. I did not actually buy this game. This game belonged to a friend, and I never actually returned it. So it's basically all just about stolen. Mario Artist Paint Studio. This is basically, all you get to do is really draw pictures and stuff like that, but I've made some really amazing things on here. It's essentially like the Microsoft Paint for your N64. So, very kind of cool concept. I've made some really amazing things on Paint Studio. I'll show you guys sometime. Anyone's gonna love this. Mario Kart 64. This is my original copy from like 1996 or whatever. Or I guess it was released in 1997. So anyways, I got this as a birthday gift because my birthday's in December. So yeah, this is the original card. It's actually faded quite a bit. This is not actually the sunlight that's coming through the window. This is actually like this. I've made tons of great memories. This is actually better in my opinion than David Cotton Racing, but that's just me. Rayman 2, The Great Escape at that. This game is kind of like Banjo-Kazooie in the fact that it's a collectathon where you have to collect lums. And this is a very good game, and I'm sure it is. I just haven't gotten into it too much. So when I play games, collectathons, I usually try to get everything, and there's 1,000 lums. Resident Evil 2. This is probably one of the biggest capacity carts that was ever released on an N64. It actually feels quite heavy too. But $1 million was put aside to compress all the video footage and sound that was compressed on this game. And I have yet to play it. Mario Artist Communications Kit. It's not a game. It's more of a software tool than anything. That's all there is to say about that. Still though, there's kind of, it sort of serves as like extra content. All-Star Tennis, 99. A very mediocre tennis game. Mario Tennis blows this out of the water. speaking of which, Mario Tennis. This is the next one I have. I love this game. I don't really like sports games too much, but this one is like one of those rare exceptions. Probably because it has Mario, but it's also because of very nicely well done tennis. I also played tennis in real life, so Revolt. A very, very clunky racer, but I actually surprisingly kind of really like this one, despite its very flaw-like structure. Snowboard Kids. Yes, a downhill racer. Kind of like Mario Kart again, but well, on snowboards. I actually kind of like this one. Snowboard Kids 2, its sequel. This is much, much, much harder to find, as it is way more rare. It was made by Atlas. There's this thing about how Taito had made all the rare games from the NES. Well, Atlas was basically the Taito for N64. So this, along with a few other gems, like Harvest Moon 64 and Ogre Battle 64, and Snowboard Kids 2 are one of the rare games to find on the system. Mario Golf. A very cool golfing game. That game's okay. It has Mario characters, though I'm not too much of a golf person myself. Super Mario 64. This is probably the classicest of classics. You know, the N64 only had one of two launch titles, that and Pilot Wings. But you know what? That's all it needed. I mean, why would you need anything more when you have this? What else do you need? I've beaten this game several times over. It's one of those games that's not too long, but not too short either. Japan Pro Golf Tour 64. Yes. This game, now I said that I'm not into golf games, kind of too much. And many people praise Mario Golf as being the best golf game on the unit, on the system, or whatever. But this, in my opinion, plays better than Mario Golf. And that's saying something. This is Japanese on the N64 disc drive. This game is incredibly rare. It has been rising in price steadily for the past year. I valued almost $900. Actually, I don't think it's quite that high, but the last one I saw was at least $750 or something like that. And it's only rising in price. There's actually a copy on Akiba Games for $1,000, but it's a sealed copy, so. It's Doshin the Giant. This is a God Simulator. A very interesting one at that. And I thought it was okay. Not something I personally would be a fan of, but you know, I didn't think nothing bad of it. Chameleon Twist 2. Now this is actually a very much the same as the Chameleon Twist 1, except it adds extra elements to make it interesting and stuff like that. My copy is very faded. And I hope to replace this shit copy. It's also got like scratch marks, like God, like Friday, it went Jason from Friday the 13th on it, like shh. Somebody did that. Not too happy about that copy, but whatever. This one is GQ Powerful Pro Baseball 5. Yeah, there's about 15 of these that were ever released. Well, technically there's a whole bunch more, but of the main series, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, blah, 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 there's 15 or so. I'll look that up later to see if that's correct or not, but that's what I've heard about that. Not a game. Get the hell out of here. 1080 snowboarding. Again, many people really like this game. I didn't think it was anything too much, but I know that a lot of people really thought really highly of this game, and I do see it as a good game. I'm just not too much into it. SimCity 64. Another N64 DD game. This is one of the few games that you cannot really play if you don't know any Japanese. All the other ones you can, but through trial and error. But this one you really got to know what you're doing and know some Japanese. I guess having prior knowledge of SimCity does also help. Rampage 2. Universal Tour. I do not actually own the first one, but this one is okay. An okay sort of side-scroller. Twisted Edge Extreme Snowboarding. This is the last snowboarder game that I actually own, and it's okay. Again, very meh. Turok Dinosaur Hunter. This was a very popular game Yeah, this was a very popular game back in the day, and it's a it is in that format of a shooter. But I mean, I don't really like shooters that much, so I could not really get into it as much as other people could have. Turok 2, Seeds of Evil. Now, I don't actually own the third one or Rage Wars, or the corrected copy of Rage Wars, but this is very much like Turok the same. My same opinion on Turok goes for this one as well. However, I heard that this is a very good game, so I'll keep that in mind. Most people, as sort of a disclaimer. Extreme G 2, the sequel to Extreme G. I actually like this one better than the original. Again, maybe it's because I played it first, so I got that impression more, but I don't know, it just felt good. Bomberman 64. This is the other Bomberman game I have for the N64. Between this one and Bomberman Hero, I do prefer Bomberman Hero because, unlike in that one, this one, you die in one hit. Much harder game in my opinion, and I just prefer Hero overall more. I don't actually have Bomberman 64, the second attack, which is extremely rare. Super Smash Brothers for N64. I absolutely love this game. I'm actually really good at this game. I entered a tournament and I like dominated in Smash 64. Yeah. Best character is Mario. Just putting it out there. I have Kirby as a secondary main. Mario, Kirby, and Luigi. That's who I play. Forsaken 64. An interesting kind of shooter on motorbikes or something like that. It's on like future vehicles. This one's okay. Perfect Dark. This is what many people consider to be the spiritual successor to GoldenEye. Many people do like this game. And again, I'm not into shooters, so I couldn't really enjoy it that much. But I will say it is a good game for those of you who are the fans. Donkey Kong 64. It's Banjo-Kazooie times 10 as far as collectathons go. Yeah, I've still yet to beat this game. And the final game that makes it number 100 on this list is The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. And I'm reading in the back here, this actually used to belong to Jay Sloan. Yeah, whoever this guy is. You hear that, Jay Sloan? I've got your game inside my house, and I'm having captive here. And if you want it back, just send me an email and let me know, and I'll happily send it to you back in the mail. Those are all 164 games that I owned. I'm also not counting the DD because those are separate. But I thought since it's N64 related, I'll include this in here. Including the DD, it's 109. So, if you count duplicates, which there were 2 of them, both F-Zero X and Pikachu, I've got 111. But that's stretching. That's stretching it. So, yes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That was my entire N64 collection as of May 28th, 2015. If you like what you saw, feel free to like, comment, subscribe for more amazing content from myself. I do Let's Plays mostly. Actually, I've only got 3 of them so far on the channel. But yeah, you guys can look for more cool stuff from me in the future. So yeah, this is Sky74 signing out. Take care, guys.